Well, joining us now here in the studio, the Secretary General of the ANC, just to talk us through some of the priorities for the governing party this coming on Thursday. Mr. Mantashe, thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening for you.
Well, from where you've had Lekgotlas, you had your January 8 statement. I'm sure whatever the President will be saying on Thursday is neatly and nicely packaged to make sure that the nation really takes something, or a lot, I should be saying, out of that State of the Nation address. What for you are the issues he simply won't be able to ignore?
I can base my observation on the NEC Lekgotla and the January 8th. You are right there. Beyond that, we allow the cabinet to meet. They work on the State of the Nation address. But our expectation is that they can't cut out the priorities that the ruling party has put as priorities.
Which are?
I will start with, there will be 4 areas of focus in the main. The first one will be the economy. 2, it will be education. 3, it will be local government. And 4, it will be advancing people's power. Those will be 4.
Let's start with the economy.
Yes.
What is he going to say? Things are not looking good out there, the world over. What is it that is unique that the President is expected to say?
What we are expecting of the President is to talk to specific sectors. One, we should appreciate the fact that since 2008, we have been to a recession only once. It was in 2009 when we had a negative growth for 3 months. Since then, we never. But our growth is very low. And we're not going to improve that unless we focus on macroeconomic framework. 2, unless we have specific sectors that are given particular targets and there is allocation of resources, which will be a function of the budget much later. One of those will be your agriculture. Agriculture has a lot of potential in South Africa. We have not moved close to the Maputo declaration of allocating 10% of the budget on agriculture.
It's in dire straits right now.
Yes, because of drought, but it's not in bad shape. There's drought and now the rains have arrived late. We'll have less than we expected in terms of harvest, but we'll have some harvest. But the price of maize is going to go up. The person who's going to actually feel the pressure of drought is going to be the end consumer. Otherwise, farmers will have some maize to harvest, will make a killing out of the prices of maize. And number 2, manufacturing remains our focus. We must talk about energy and talk about the energy mix. See, half of the time when we talk about energy, people run for nuclear and therefore say it is unaffordable. And our argument is very simple. Nuclear is like any other source of energy in the sense that when you build coal power station, you don't build a power station that is giving you 9,600 megawatts. You build one that gives you 2,004, you give another one that gives you 3,000, and so on. But if you say the target is in the long term 9,006, it doesn't mean you'll build one big nuclear power station. All those issues should be on the State of the Nation. That is on the economy. And our view is that unless we work together, the public sector and the private sector, we're not going to come out of the hole.
Well, speaking of working together and still on the economy, I mean, you have your Anglos. Now, looks like they are shrinking their operations here. It doesn't look like the government's message is being listened to. They have just come back from Davos, and it didn't look like we were the flavors.
No. Look, after Davos, we have actually improved in terms of the international competitiveness, the global competitiveness, from 56 to 49 in the world. That's a magic improvement. And that is a function of some semblance of having the same nature from Team South Africa. And if we can continue doing that, it will be better. The reaction of the mining industry, to me, as a mine worker for many years, I think is strange, to say the least. That when the prices of commodities are on a downward cycle, you close shafts and close mines. It's the worst reaction that you can ever have, because...
Isn't that what business does?
No. Commodity prices are by nature cyclical. Good mining companies factor that in their planning. And therefore, when there is a downward cycle, you don't go out with a bloodbath of retrenchment and you fire people, you close shafts, and then you come back and complain. Anglo-American, I think, is actually very, very mischievous in terms of the way it is handling this current crisis of commodity prices.
What do you think drives what they are doing?
My gut feel will first of all say, because Anglo all of a sudden is a foreign investor, it doesn't behave in a way that is patriotic. And that's why in the Fraser Institute, we'll be rated 53 in terms of mining capacity, despite the richness of our mineral deposits, because most of the executives are not South African, and therefore we don't have a South African mining champion. As a result of that, they behave the way they behave. Glencore is doing the same. For example, I was listening to the NUM complaining on an Exxaro mine, which is closed by Exxaro because they want to sell coal to Eskom at higher price. If they don't take, they throw it away. Then the debate shifts from the mischief of Exxaro and Glencore in Optimum and Anode, and it becomes, why is this mine given to the Gupta family? Which to me becomes an obsession as far as I'm concerned, because Exxaro and Glencore must maintain and be able to give coal to Eskom at acceptable prices.
You don't think there's an issue around the whole Gupta's thing?
I don't have an obsession about it. If they are having mischief, that's what we should deal with. What we should not do is to say when Eskom want coal at a particular price, major mining company, we can't give you that price, and a smaller company, because it is owned by Guptas, takes that operation and sell at a lower price. Why is a bigger mining company can't afford selling at that price? You know, historically, coal to Eskom was actually on the basis of cost plus 3%. That's what it was. Now it is on market. We buy coal here as if we were buying it on a spot market globally. That is where the patriotism of the private sector is tested.
Well, speaking of the Guptas, is it really an obsession, or is it something that people find abnormal?
Can I tell you? To me, anybody who manipulates the economy is bad. That is bad news.
Are the Guptas manipulating?
Well, all I'm saying is that if Optimum is given to them, Anode is given to them, all is given to them, there will be something suspicious of that from any other person. But the point I'm making is, the obsession is when you leave Exxaro scot-free, and you leave Glencore scot-free, you leave Anglo-American scot-free, and then we all shift the debate and focus on the Guptas, I think we are going to lose out, in the sense that major mining companies go away and run with matter. When they should be actually sustaining the economy, they run away and dump assets. And that dumping of assets is going to translate into what we call in mining terms high grading, where they only focus on high grade mines and leave marginal shafts and sterilize them in the long term.
Okay, let's move on to local government. I mean, Senator, we're expecting local government elections this year. What do you expect the president to say around local government? Local
government, in the January 8th, we located the advancement of people's power in the local government. And we had a subheading that says, local government is in your hand. And in the ANC, we have taken a resolution that communities should decide who are the representatives in local government.
Which means what exactly?
It means the ANC can say, with these three candidates, they must go to communities. If communities say, these are bad news, you see, and the ANC must listen and be able to say, You are not going to put your preferred candidate as a councillor if communities think that is bad news. We're busy with that list process all over. We've picked up a number of areas where there is an attempt to actually avoid doing that, and we're saying to provinces, at point X there is a complaint. In Matatiel, there are 4 branches that are complaining that a deploy of the ANC undermined the views of the community. In Mount Frere, the regional deploys, they undermine the wills of the communities. Go there, intervene. That's what we're doing now. We're busy with that process. And it's the most complex process. No other party does that.
Would you accept that in the main, the views that people have formed around, or their perceptions of local government and its inefficiencies and inadequacies is largely because of the ANC's performance?
Now, let me tell you what people always put on the negative. The ANC has introduced local government that services everybody. We introduced a wall-to-wall local government. And a small dorpy called Kala in the Eastern Cape, which services very few people in town, is all of a sudden must service all the villages. And those villages, if you go there, they appreciate the extension of services to the villages. People don't talk about that. And what people also have refused to notice is that we have started the Back to Basics program few years ago, and it is reflected in the improvement on the audit reports. The audit results, there are more unqualified audits, there are more clean audits, there are fewer disclaimers. And in the Back to Basics, we're doing many things that are basic. We say, appoint people who are skilled to those positions. Don't appoint people who are not qualified. Remove refuse. Supply water. Supply electricity. Close potholes. If you do those basic things, local government will be accepted in communities. If you don't do that, you're going to be in trouble. And in the majority of cases, there is a response to those back to basics requirements, and people are beginning to implement back to basics. And we're hoping that the president will be able to talk more on the back to basics, because back to basics about local government that is serving the people.
Which a lot of you public representatives at local government rejected at first. But let's go to advancing the poor.
Anything that is testing you and put you on the spotlight, you reject. But it's not about you who should be an agent to accept or reject. It is the parties that should enforce it, that back to basics is our program, you will all comply. Take a metro like Mangaung, Vuyo, which was in disclaimer, today is having unqualified audit. And to me, it's because we forced them to apply back to basic principles, and it improved the performance.
Let's talk about the advancement of the poor. Where should the president begin?
The advancement of people's power. The first thing is that government is in government because it represents the aspirations and interests of the vast majority. If it does not, then there is a big problem. That is where we start from advancing people's power. So people must have a say in their affairs, in how they are governed. But it doesn't mean that we govern by referendums. It means that you get the views of the people, implement the programs that respond to those issues. When people say, hashtag fees must fall, government must be responsive, but it should never be reckless and go out there and be populist and say there will be free higher education next year. Because if it does that, it is going to be popular, but it will collapse the system.
Well, it's your resolution. When do you think it's practical?
Actually, it is actually implemented. That's why you will notice, Vuyo, 87% of basic education is in no-fee schools. Every call is the TVETs now. All of them, where you get NSFAS, it is a grant. For the final year in degree, it's a grant. Research for masters and PhDs is for free. It is sponsored by the state. So there is a progress that has been made. We must fill it up by actually ensuring that first year and second year get access to that free education for the poor, Those who should pay, who can pay and afford paying, must continue paying. The private sector must increase the number of bursaries and scholarships. The state resources must be directed at giving children from poor households access to education and begin to turn around the level of poverty at household level.
Well, we've run out of time, but you have to answer this before you go. Your reaction to today's court proceedings?
You know, Vuyo, people will tend to forget this. At the beginning of these processes, we said we must allow state institutions to deal with this matter. You remember when there was the report of interministerial and the report of the public protector? The ANC said when there are two public institutions taking a decision on an issue, the only thing you can do that, you can take that for a review, and the only capable body that can do a review is a court of law. We said that then. Everybody threw that out of the window, ignored it. They are back there today. That's the only thing that is happening, the ANC.
Well, you don't think that, looking at what happened today, shouldn't this have happened a lot earlier? I mean, no one stopped the president, or anyone for that matter, to take the matter for a review, but it never happened. And what everyone is asking now is, given what happened today, where basically the president's lawyer considered to virtually everything, what was the point? Why put the country into this whole drama and fuss, as some people
and to
say,
me, what happened in the
only to, at the end of the day, concede?
What happened in the Constitutional Court today is another confirmation of democracy at work and confidence that is put on institutions. The reason that we have insisted on saying allow institutions to go, if an High Court Committee of Parliament does work on the issue, the ANC has actually been quite careful not to get into that space. Allow Parliament and institutions to deal with that issue. It is taken to court. The ANC was not even mentioned once today in the court, because it has taken a view that says allow the institutions of state to deal with the problems of state.
You don't think this whole thing has come at a cost to our nation?
Cost because it is still in the Concord.
Relations, the possible undermining of state institutions?
No. One of these that is before the court is the role of a Chapter 9 institution, for example. Whatever comes out of there in respect of the public protector, we must appreciate the fact that it will be applicable to a number of Chapter 9 institutions. It is strengthening those institutions. And those are institutions of democracy.
That's why we're going to leave it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.